am the office manager here for Shore Cure Therapy and Wellness in Carrollton, Texas. So we are primarily a physical therapy office, but we also offer occupational therapy, speech therapy, massage. We have a Fit 3D body scanner as well as FitBomb infrared saunas. But today we are going to be joined by Dr. Nidhi Vaez. She is going to talk to us all about how to pick the right shoes. So we're going to dive in. She's got all kinds of fun shoes to show us as well as talk about. We're going to really get into the details here.
All right, so shoes is a very important topic and we always bring it up. A lot of my patients, I guess all of my back pain patients, if you're listening to this, you know this, I always go down to the basics where how you're standing, what's your weight bearing, because that's the cause of your back pain or knee pain. Depends on the heels and toes and where your weight bearing, you're using that body mechanics more and end up using one side more than the other. I'll get into those details, but instead of getting into the back pain and like how it works, I'm just gonna stick to the shoe topic for now, so without getting distracted, because you know, there's a lot to talk about in each topic. But knowing the purpose of the shoe, because a lot of people do multitask with some type of sport shoe especially. We have a lot of different kind of shoe in our closet when you look, but we bought them because they were pretty in color and not really according to the purpose. If you actually play any sport or do run or do weightlifting, play tennis, they're different kind of shoe for different purpose. So don't try to use one shoe and do everything else, because there's reason they're different type of shoe made for different reasons. Basketball shoe, and I won't go into all different sport, but I'll just basically talk about the walking shoe, running shoe, and different footwear that women usually wear in the summer, and what's good, what's not good, what is not good but still acceptable, because you can't quit wearing heels, right? A lot of our patients get swelling in their feet, and so it's not the same when you're buying the shoe. So towards the end of the day, like afternoon, if you've been walking, and towards the end of the day, gravity pulls more as you're more swollen. So that's the time to buy the shoe. So that way you know this is the max I'm gonna get. It's not gonna be snug after I buy, after all that swelling that happens. And also, some people think that, oh, I'm gonna break into my shoe. It's a little bit snug, but that's okay. It's on sale, or it will be fine. But actually, don't settle for the size. Like, size really matters in the shoe. I mean, and other things doesn't as much, but here, like half an inch more or less, I mean, makes a huge difference in how you walk.
Wow.
So shoe sizes, and people assume that shoe size remain the same, but actually as you age, it can sometimes change.
Interesting.
So people assume that all the companies and all the standard sizing is all the same, but actually it's not, and it differs, and it's good to always try. And a best way to like try and see, like there should be like a 1/4 inch between like your biggest toe to the end of the shoe. Like that's the standard. Because it's like, how do you know how much is too less or too more, how big it should be?
Right.
So 1/4 inch to sometimes 1/2 inch is still fine, but that's a good rule.
See, my whole life I've just been buying shoes, and then I get them fitted because they're gonna stretch out, right? So then they're gonna last longer. I don't know. That was how I rationalized it. I've been doing it wrong my whole life, guys.
You know, the kind of material that stretch out are leather and fabric.
Interesting.
So those two shoes sometimes have a little bit of a wiggle room where you're gonna wear them, but the other kind don't as much. So don't settle when it's already snug. You know when you're trying them, because you're not gonna break into them later.
Okay.
And most people don't pay attention to the width as much. So the width is important too. The widest part of your foot has to be it has to be some wiggle room to the widest part, like right here. That has to be you should have some wiggle room to move your toes as well.
Okay.
So those are some of the things to keep in mind, and I think I'll talk about like what not to do first before I get into like what's the right kind of shoe and all. So that's like the common villain. Everybody talks about the high heels, obviously. So why? And like I'll talk about different kind of shoes which is not good for you anyways, but like the basic rule of thumb, because if you wonder about loafers versus sneakers and like all kinds of shoes, whether the good rule of thumb is your normal walking pattern is like heel to toe, like you go like this. That's not normal phase of if you really see in the slow motion how you're walking and like really tape it, like that's how your normal walk is. So anything that alters that, anything that changes that is not good for you.
Okay.
So when you're wearing high heel, you're actually putting your foot in because you're not going to do heel to toe here.
Right.
So then where else the movement will be? At your hip or knee. So that's where you're getting that tilting.
Interesting.
The heel. But so wherever when you're wearing heels, the pencil heel, and it's the separate heel and it's not attached to the rest of the sandal, those are the worst kind of heels you can have. And I'm not saying, oh, don't ever wear heels, because we can't. There are some occasions you want to be dressier, and I'm a woman, I understand that.
This came from her closet. Okay,
Yes.
She says don't wear it.
Yes, but I have a plan to use it. So I wear heels too, but I have a plan. So when we actually go for dressy dinners, and when I'm wearing dressy dresses, and that's when I want to wear this. So when we actually do valet parking, or even not valet parking, but I'm just at a dinner being pretty and just not going to walk as much, that's when I wear the heels. So everywhere else I wear a comfortable shoe, because comfort is important to me. So so these are the kind of heels that's not good for you, and the platform kind are better than these kind. All heels are bad, but they're lesser evil than the other. But not only the heels. So a lot of people tell me I don't wear heels, but even flats can be bad too. So these are another kind of flats where, first of all, look at the sole. You don't want thin soles. You want something thick which is cushioned and that helps you. And then, it naturally, emphasis on the heel to toe gait pattern. Here there are no straps in the back, there's no support. So all your toes are just wearing that and having contraction more, and the rest of the heel just flops on the hard. It's very hard. So it doesn't have any cushioning here. So then it's not supporting anything. So it's not good for it. Because for example, these and certain flip-flops, so your plantar fascia here gets very tight because they have to work harder to keep the grip from your foot to lose the shoe. So then that's where the plantar fasciitis happen when you're wearing a lot of pointy toes and some no cushioning in the back, and flip-flops and sandals, because it doesn't give you enough support. So these are the bad ones. And even these are, in more, I see this all those T-strap sandals, again stiff as a board, when you're trying to bend them, not so much cushioning, very stiff, very thin, doesn't have any support. Here it has a little back strap, but not enough where it's supporting and promoting that natural weight shifting.
Okay.
So these are the ones, they're absolute, like, it's not good for you
Don't
at
wear
all.
those.
Yeah. In the long term, it's not going to be good for you. There's some shoe where the black strappy sandal that I have here. So even sandals are not as good, but if you still have to wear certain, there are some curvatures here that supports that. This is a thick cushion, like the sole is, and then it has a strap, it's covered, so your toes are not doing all the plantar fascia is not contracting so much. So if you have to wear certain sandals, there's some more orthopedic shoes that has more cushioning and it's more comfy. So you can have some if you have to wear them. But most of the time, certain loafers and even one of those gray shoes that I have, I recommend these kind to like some of our older patients or even like patients in general. This has thicker cushion, has the arch support, it's comfy, the gel cushion in there, and it goes with everything. Doesn't have shoelaces, you don't have to worry about tripping on them. It matches with all different outfits, the dresses and pants and all that, because for women it's important to match with certain things.
We can't just own one pair of sneakers and wear them with everything like a man.
So talking about sneaker too, so this one, right? So right now the sneakers are in and they're like flatter, doesn't have arch, and like it goes with a lot of things nowadays. But they don't have enough cushioning and they don't support, it doesn't have arch support.
Okay.
The material even is, and when you try to bend, when you're trying to, and it depends on this, there's some stiff shoe that are good for you, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. But it doesn't have any arch support in here. So when you're wearing them, your foot is like flat in it, and your arch is not supported, whether you have high arch or low arch and anything, but sneakers are not very ideal either.
Okay.
Unless, these kind are better. So these are a better walking shoe. So a lot of people, if you're not playing any sport, or if you're not doing anything else, and if you're just regular going for a walk and just multi-purpose shoe, go running to a store, and so these are good. It has arch support and has cushioning, and and you can bend these. So the bending part, and then you can wiggle side to side. These are important I'll go over that detail. If you have medium arch, so if your arch is not high, not low, and if you're medium, you're average person, nothing wrong with you, all that, then walking shoe, you want a little bit of room, little bit of flexibility, and arch support, and good sole support, and you're good.
Okay.
So this is good for average person. You can even do a little bit of running with it, because it's like the sole is less like close to the ground, it's lightweight, and the fabric and like breathable and stuff. So those are the kind of shoe you want for running. And for running, you want more flexible, low to the ground. You don't want a thick sole, you want more meshable, breathable material. It's easier. And actually more professional runners, what they do, and there's a trick to it, to avoid the ankle injury or knee injury, and doing that, because over and over, if you do certain things, it wears out on your joints and overall puts a toll on you. So a lot of runners run on their forefoot, just on these, and there's good and bad in both. They can avoid injuries doing that. And once they're trained doing that, it's easier for them. But they actually put a lot of toll on their calf muscle. You have to have stronger calf in order to run on your forefoot and toes. So, but it avoids other injuries, so it kind of works for them. But you have to know what you're doing It's one of their tricks. Let's talk about arches. And I guess that's a very important question. The kind of shoe you would buy would be according to how your foot is. So the neutral, the one on top here, that's the kind of arch normal, regular, average people have. You would see a little bit, this part won't touch the ground. So you would have a little bit of arch. They are the shock absorber when you're jumping and doing other things. Then you would want that kind of average shoe where it's a little flexible, wiggly, you can bend it and all.
Okay.
There are some people who have the supinator, the high arch. And, just check your foot, and if you even check your footprints and see if people with high arch will have less footprint compared to flat feet. Do you have a bigger size in your footprint too? Another way of finding out whether I have high arch, low arch, I don't know, it's too confusing. Or if you see bottom of your feet and then bottom of your shoe, and see which side is worn out first. Was it the inner side, outer side, the heel side? Then it's a good way to tell too that whether you're pronator, supinator, and I know those are a little more technical terms, but you can talk about high arch and low arch, and that's easier to know. So high arch is more supination, so when you're putting weight, you're doing this way, more on the outer edge. And people with flat feet who don't have a lot of arch, they actually do more pronation, So this kind of shoe you would use based on how your arch is different too. So people who would have high arches would actually need more cushioning. They don't need a lot of stability, but you would need more cushioning. So high arched supinated people would need softer cushion. They don't need, so this shoe is an example of a firm, rigid, stable shoe. So people with flat feet would like this kind of shoe. They also advertise this as a motion control shoe, or because it controls more motion and doesn't let it happen, it's more stable. See here, you can't bend it as much, even if you wanted to. You can't twist it. It has a thicker.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
On this one, you were saying all this bending.
Yes.
Wow.
So you would want more bending and more flexible for running, though. But basically, people who need less stability and more cushioning, you would want more bending shoe. And these are the people who have flat feet and not so much arch, they would need more stability. So they would need this kind of shoe. And certain shoes are also meant for people who work in construction. They have to stand on the cement. And nurses who are working in hospital floors, and they have to be on their feet a lot. So sometimes these are also known as walking or standing shoe. They're labeled in the shoe stores, but they're meaning the same. But that's the main difference. The heel is different, and sometimes the color too. That white cushion versus gray, and it could be different with manufacturers. Now they're adding all kinds of colors, but. The gray is usually merged with white, and then that's a sign that it's actually more thicker, stiffer. Sometimes you would see some spring on the bottom of the heels. It's not good for you. It's more of a fashion statement. It's not good for anybody. People think it's more designed to put the weight in the front, but a lot of patients, they lose their balance off of it, and it just alters the foot, and the weight bearing, it throws their balance off.
I know that's the look right now on the shoes is for it to have that, it almost looks like a spring, but it's not a spring, but it's got that look all around. So don't get those.
It's more for fashion.
So tell us more though. What if What if you're having an issue with your feet? Like, what if you have swelling by the end of the day? Like, what should you do then? Are there any tips on?
So, obviously more swelling is a sign of something okay, if you have more swelling, so there's a rule of thumb for if you gain more than 5 pounds in a week,
okay,
as a swelling or as anything, like there's something that's when you report to the doctor.
Okay.
But if you usually have swelling, some people it's like normal when you go to the flight, longer hours sitting, and it ends up like towards the end of the day. So that's the time you want to buy the shoe, so you're not gonna be snug in your shoe.
Okay, so getting something that has that room that you were talking about. Okay,
yeah.
So don't buy your shoes fitted, guys. Leave room.
Yeah, but doing the shopping for shoe at the end of the day.
Okay.
Because that's when
that's a good tip.
swollen the most.
Okay.
But sometimes, right? So one foot is swollen and the other one is normal. They don't have to buy 2 different pair of shoes. There's some shoe company, I actually just saw that in the afternoon. When I was in Michigan, they had this walking shoe company. They would make custom shoe for one shoe, a bigger size and a different, but maybe after COVID, maybe they got out of business, I don't know. There are 1 or 2 good shoe store in Plano, I've heard. Good Feet store and Dallas Running Company. So they measure you and they measure the arch and your weight bearing. Similar to our weight bearing here that we do with our 3D body scanner, but they sell shoe and we don't. But I mean, those are the shoe companies close by that I've heard of.
Okay.
But people with plantar fasciitis or bunions, Bionic is a good brand, and they have everywhere, I guess, Dillard's and some other shoe store, not just shoe store, but like they have Bionic brand. But they're pretty comfy because they're manufactured by podiatric company. So that's why, it's important for them for different, foot problems, and they make special. And a lot of shoe companies now have wider feet shoe. Before they didn't have a lot of those options.
I have a wide foot. It is very hard to find shoes.
But now they have like Brooks and all those different New Balance and all like companies.
Everybody's got one now.
Yeah, but before it was hard to get the shoe for, and nobody really considered wider shoe before.
Right.
And certain shoe style didn't help
well. Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are like some problem feet answers. If you have swelling, one of her big tips, I loved this, was to go shoe shopping at the end of the day. So you're going when your foot's at its largest. Yeah, that's such a good tip. I love that.
Even like there are things about if you're buying fur shoes and all, the fur is gonna wear out, and then you have more room in the shoe later.
Sure.
So like you have to think about those things, because even half an inch will make a difference. So they're like, if you really want to get into detail about, but there are more things to consider.
Okay.
But at least that's a bad shoe. When you're walking with it and you have heel pain, so like shin splints, and you have pain in the shin, that's mostly by wearing wrong shoe. And when you wear wrong shoe, there's sometimes right away, and there's sometimes like over and over, and then you feel like, because mostly plantar fasciitis or something that happens with wearing wrong shoe all your life, and then it puts a toll on your body later eventually. So having good shoe goes long way for your back pain, your ankle pain, or your knee pain sometimes.
So I know we were kind of talking about what not to wear, right? And you were saying the heels like this, and if you have to wear a heel, something more like this.
Platform.
But I know you had some more information on heels. Did you want to tell them about any of your guidelines? Like if you have to buy heels.
Yes. Like I don't support heels as much, but sometimes you have to buy heels. Like what's the max or acceptable range, the height? So the max height would be like 9.5 centimeters. Like there's not so much research on it, but there are a few articles that I could find and that they support that 9.5 is like, but you know, platform again is better, but 9.5 here. But the more interesting question, like more than the height of that, is the width of this. So from the sole to the heel, this distance, it should be no less than 3 centimeters. When this is less than 3 centimeters, then you're way up high. And what happens is all your body weight is going to be on your toes and the front feet. So that's not good, because then you don't have that heel to toe anyways, the tilting, more weight here, and then obviously your hips and your back is where you're gonna feel all that.
Right. So best though, no gap, right? Yes. Like best is to have no gap at all. It's just one heel, guys. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's it, I guess.